Okay, now in this next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up your SQL test server using WinLab. So, if you're in my class, this first few steps are already done for you. And if you're not in my class, you're watching this off YouTube, then you'll have to follow along from the start. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download WinLab. So go to your Google search and go WinLab. Okay, what WinLab is I actually prefer using WAMP better, W-A-M-P. WinLab I find is easier and simpler, but it's also a little outdated. But anyways, so WinLab, what it does is it installs Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP all in one go. So instead of having to install it individually, you can install all at once. That's all it is. It's just an all-in-one package. So you go to download and download WinLab 4. Okay, and when you do that, it looks like this. Okay, WinLab 4.0.exe. Okay, so go back to here. Next thing we need is we need an environment to program. So what we're going to do is we're going to download Eclipse. So go to just search Eclipse on Google. Eclipse Foundation comes right up. And what we want to do is we want to download Eclipse. Go to Downloads, and we want to download Eclipse for PHP developers. There we go. So download whichever version you're looking for, and it'll automatically suggest the best place to download from. And when you download that, you get Eclipse here. So this is a free programming tool, or a graphical user interface, a GUI interface used to develop PHP MySQL. Now, before we go to the next one, what we're going to do is we're going to set up these two first. So they're very easy. So just double-click it to start installing it, and basically, next, let it install to where it wants to install. Click on install. You'll see it working way here. So just let it go. Alright. Any second now. Okay. So it just installed Apache and PHP. Apache is the web server, PHP is a programming language, and MySQL is the database that we're using. Alright. So it shows me a web page. Great. Okay, now it's going to install MySQL. So get a nice little wizard here. So just click on Next. Typical installation. Yes, Next. Click on Install. So it'll work for another second. There are a couple of steps that you need to remember here. So what we're doing is we're installing Apache, MySQL, and PHP as a test server. This is not for actual hosting websites, but this is for developing websites. So it's really not all that secure because no one's going to access it. So create new, no, just skip the account. We don't need to create a new account. So configure SQL Server now, yes. So let's configure it. Okay, so next, detailed configuration, sure. Developer machine. Okay, so this is not a server, or we're just using it to develop programs or test programs. Multifunctional database, definitely. Yes, 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 yes. Install as a service, yes. Okay, so this is a little bit important. So because this is a test server, it doesn't need to be over secure, but you should have a password anyways. So I'm just going to use one-password. One-password. If you use a different password, make sure you remember what it is. It'll come up later. Okay, next, and it'll install it. Give it a second. That's it. So in about 1 minute, what we did is we installed PHP, SQL, and Apache. And just to test it, go http:// local host, and that brings you to the Apache website. All right, or that brings you to the PHP website. So if you go to if you go to my computer, okay, and you go to C, and you go to program files. Sorry, I screwed up. If you go to C and you go to Apache, okay, so this is where your Apache web server is sitting. And if you go to htdocs, okay, so this page here is what we just loaded. Okay, this is where the website is hosted. This is a very important folder. We'll be using this later. Okay, so exit on that. Actually, don't exit that. Come back to here. Okay, so the next thing we want to configure and install is we want to configure Eclipse. So Eclipse is very simple. Just click on it, right click, extract all, next. Okay, and then extract all the files. Let it work. Okay, so when you're done extracting, it looks like this. Finish. And see here that we have and this is Eclipse. So what you need to know about Eclipse is, like I said before, Eclipse is a open source, that means it's completely free graphical user interface, or GUI interface for PHP and SQL development. What that means is it's a development environment where you can create your programs. Unlike other computer programs that you would unzip and install, Eclipse doesn't really install. You just unzip it and then you double click it, and then it opens the development environment, and you just go ahead and use it. So basically, it doesn't really matter. So here's the Eclipse folder. I can take this entire Eclipse folder. I could move it anywhere, to my documents, desktop, to my C drive, and I could run this program from anywhere. It doesn't really install in the computer like a typical program, which is kind of nice. So anyways, so basically what we did is we installed WinLab, which put in Linux, Apache web server, MySQL database, and PHP programming language, and then we downloaded and well, not really installed, but unzipped Eclipse PHP GUI editor. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this to write our first little program, or modify our first little program in it, and then we're going to run it. Okay. And then after that, we're pretty much ready to get SQL started. Unblock. Okay, let me try that again. So when you open Eclipse, you're going to come into an intro screen. When you close that intro screen, you're going to come to an environment that looks like this. Eclipse is a pretty fancy development tool. I'm not going to get into all the details now, but for now, what I'm going to do is going to open a file. I'm going to go to my my computer, go to my C drive, go to Apache, go to htdocs. I'm going to load index.html. Alright, so here's my I'm going to close this one off because I'm not using it. Close this off because I'm not using it. Okay, so index.html, this is the first file that loads when you go to localhost. So if I were to go back to here, okay, when I do this, http:/localhost, what it does, and hit enter, it loads my index file. So this is the index file, what you see here. Alright, so at the very bottom here, I'm going to write my first little PHP program. Okay. Oops, sorry, got the wrong file. So actually, I'm going to go File, Open File, and where is it? Index.php. Here we go. So index.php. So I'm going to write my first little PHP program, and I'm going to go echo hello world. Echo hello world colon. Okay. So save it. Okay, so here we go. So I'll come back to my index page. So again, when I go http localhost, it loads index.html, which is this file here, and you see it here. When I click on this one here, php info, okay, open a new tab. Okay, what that does is it loads my index.php file. Okay, and this big long file, and the very bottom, okay, is my humble little hello world, which I just added right here. Okay, and all the while using Eclipse to do that. Okay, so that's it. So we're set up with our web server programming language and SQL server. We installed a GUI, a graphical user interface tool, and we're ready to get cranking with the how to set up and use a database.